Hey, welcome. We're going to talk today about one tip that I've got for you that can facilitate a lot of healing in your life. Okay. It's not a secret, but doing this thing that will help you facilitate things in your life moving in the direction that you want it to, or recovering and healing from toxic people in your life. It's not gonna be comfortable, okay? It's not gonna be something that you're gonna wanna do, but it's one thing that can completely change your life around, and I just said the word, it's change. You guys, you gotta get used to change. You've gotta get in the mindset that change is not out to get you, it's not out to hurt you. Change is hard, okay, and why is change hard? It's hard because the difficulty in seeing that the changes that need to be made and the changes that are going to be made aren't the other shoe dropping. They aren't the end of the world. They aren't the stress that comes from the chaos is the mix up that's needed for you to be creative in your life and for you to move forward in your life. There's a difference in life between chaos and havoc. Havoc is destruction. Havoc tears things to the ground and stomps on them until and holds it down with control and power of the force of the havoc. Okay. That is what narcissistic people put in our life. They put havoc in your life. They create a mixed up, confused world where you follow the havoc and try to pick up after it. Okay. Chaos is different. Chaos changes things. You throw something into the mix that makes change, and life goes a different direction. The problem is people want to hold on so hard to what they have. And why? Why do you think? Because it's all you got. It's the only safety and security you know. Sometimes the safety and security of being in a toxic relationship, okay, is what holds us to the toxic relationship and what makes us find more toxic relationships. Absolute change for oneself, absolute change for the direction you're going. Sometimes change can affect a community, okay? And it's not going to be something everyone wants right that moment. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable and really difficult, and I understand that, and also necessary. Sometimes we have to trust, well, we don't have to trust anything, okay? But sometimes it can be useful to watch it play out. If it was the wrong move, then it's the wrong move. And then guess what? Make more change, make another choice. Through chaos and change comes choice. Okay. When you're with a toxic person in your life, there is absolutely no choice. Everything is compulsory, everything is conditioned, every response is a toxic one, really, because you're reacting. You know what? I have this open. I'm going to just shut that down so I can keep talking. There we go. Okay. Um, every reaction that you're having to the toxic situation is not choice. It is in reaction to something that's coming at you. Making choice comes from change. So if you say no more, setting a boundary is change. Doing something differently is change. Seeing where something isn't working, and whether, for me, it's whether it feels really heavy, really difficult, like you're slogging through and you're not making any progress with something, or maybe not you're not making progress, but the thing itself isn't making any progress, if that makes sense. Say a work situation and you're not seeing any progress in this work thing, or this particular situation, and you're not seeing any growth and you're not seeing room for expansion. Change is necessary then, and we have to sometimes tear it all down in order to build it all up. Sometimes it's about toppling this house of cards we thought we built that was so safe and secure, that really is just another construct we've put up, another thing we've built to hide from getting better, from being better, and from improving our lives. Is this making any sense? Um, change is difficult because we're scared. We're like in knots in our stomach. The thought of change makes us feel like crying. The thought of something changing that you have no control over outside externally in your life makes you feel helpless and completely destroyed and like lost. Like there's nothing underneath you and there's no path ahead of you, and you're just swirling in this idea of what's going to change and how bad it's going to be. We immediately go into a triggered response half the time, or maybe more than half the time. We go into this triggered response when there is change, where we attack the thing that's changing or the person changing it. Okay. We often, there's just a big no. We're holding up a sign that says no. And what we're doing is we're stopping our own growth. We're boxing ourselves into a limitation. Does everything in the world need change? No. If we were doing that, we'd be in a constant chaos, right? But in order, things have to get shaken up sometimes, right? And for oneself, when we're healing, sometimes it's seeing where you're not willing to let go. You're not willing to say this needs to be different. Or you say this needs to be different, but you're not willing to look at what else is around it in order to make the changes need so that you can move forward with your life. And yes, Tanya, change is growth. Change is growth. It is. All changes aren't going to be positive all the time. No. And we can't live in fear of that because we will never grow. Okay. If a change that's made doesn't work, you have the opportunity to change it again. That is called choice. Okay. And we have never had choice in our life because we have been controlled by toxic people. So, and we're controlled by a society that tells us what to think, indoctrinates us with ideas and beliefs from the time we're tiny babies, and so choice is a really like, how do I know how to make a choice? Well, the reason we feel confused about we don't know how to make a choice and how to make change is because we've been taught it's wrong and bad, and we need to follow the rules and follow the path, right? And follow what's being told to us by toxic people. We didn't have nurturing, healthy environments to learn how to change in a healthy way. Okay, so yeah. Hey, Erica and Shastina, thank you for being here and helping, and Mystique and Elle. Thank you guys. Okay, so talk to me, you guys that are here. Change. What's it for you? What do you need help with around change? What do you struggle with? I'll just keep talking about how it affects me personally and see if it helps somebody out there who might be feeling the same thing or their own version of it. Of course, won't be the same thing, but I remember leaving. I remember leaving a toxic person, and very toxic person, a very toxic relationship, and it took a long time. I was where a lot of you are when you're stuck and when you're like, you understand it, you're researching the relationship, you're like getting all this textbook, real life information that you see in textbook. You know what I mean? You're like living this toxic situation and you're observing. I'm a fantastic observer. Okay. It's why I can coach. I'm a fantastic observer. It is a skill I was born with, and it's a blessing and a curse. Okay. So I was using it in a way that it was a curse. Now I use it in a way that it is a blessing as much as I possibly can. Okay. So, but what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the situation where I just wasn't leaving, and I had someone ask me, Why aren't you leaving? You know, how people do. And I said, I don't know. Guess I'm afraid of change. That's a good, simple answer. And yes, probably a truth. But that was only the top of the surface. That was like the little, lid on top of what was underneath, which was I was not afraid of change. Change happens every day. I love the seasons. I love when people say, what's your favorite seasons? I say the ones in between. I love the moment the leaves start turning. I love the moments I'm going to cry because it's happening right now. I love the moments the buds start forming on the leaves. Okay, when they're in full bloom, it's pretty. I like spring, sure, but it's that moment of change that I find beautiful. Okay, so I'm not afraid of change, right? When you look at it like that, you go, but I love watching animals grow and children grow and flowers grow. That's change. Okay, I love speaking to old people who have lived an entire life and have all these stories and listening to their progression of change. I am not afraid of change. Are you, when you hear those things? So what are you really afraid of? What are you really unwilling to do? What are you unwilling to look at? I had to look at, I was conditioned to believe I was afraid of change. I was conditioned to believe I couldn't do it. I couldn't do this on my own. I couldn't function. I couldn't this. I couldn't that. I'd never be loved. I'd never be this. I'd never be that. This is what I was conditioned to believe. Okay. None of which is true. Some might be true, but who cares if some is true, right? Like that. And if it's true, why can I not change it? Right? Why can I not allow change? This is about allowing flow, allowing change in your life, allowing things to go into the next stage that it needs to go into to make things grow for others, for yourself, for the world around you. It's natural. Change is a natural experience. And we're so afraid because we've been taught to be afraid. So let me look what you guys are saying. Um, Tanya's saying, I fight change, however, when it happens for me, it's worth the work. After that, I'm exhausted. Oh, yeah, because you're fighting it. If you'd allow it, the resistance wouldn't be there. And then the exhaustion might change into exuberance. It might change is your underwear. You change your underwear so they don't stink. Therefore, change the life in things that don't rot in toxic. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I fear things that are good for me. Right? We fear it all. It's uh-huh. Because we can't believe it's true, because we can't accept it. Because I mean, for you, it is what it is. I'm just throwing some things out there to try to relate to that because I do relate to that. My birthday, happy birthday, Mystique. Because I have taken my power back. It was the best I've had in a very long time. Excellent. Good. And there's some change, right? Taking your power back. That is a huge change for someone that's felt powerless most of their life or a long portion of their life, right? So, and it's not easy, you guys. It really isn't. And with change comes resistance. With change comes resistance from the outside. Everyone wants you in the box they put you in, even not toxic people. Everyone wants the box that they're in to stay the same because change means allowance. People say acceptance. I say allowance. Change means letting the things flow and seeing what will come and then making choices within it to direct things the best you can, to put your energy places in directions that are expansive and growth oriented, right? Growth is scary. Children are often afraid to grow up, right? They're afraid. It's like, what's next? I don't know what's coming. If you don't know what's coming, it could be a monster, right? And so, yeah, even within ourselves, we have these fears. We have these fears of change. We lock on to things staying the same. And I'm just going to put this out there. I made a massive change on the Facebook group. So if you go over there today, or if you join, and I really hope you do, and I think I have it linked in my main description. I should. If not, I will put it in there because we need to be able to get the information out there to people. So I made a name change and I made a massive facelift change to make this about everybody else, to make this group about you, about your surviving this, your healing from this, your understanding, you're growing, you're changing, your resources, okay? Not about one person, okay? I took the branding away today. That change created the ripple effect I expected, but did not quite expect the attacks I was receiving. Okay. And that's okay. It's okay. It's people reacting to change. They'll either allow the flow of what's changing or not. And that's okay. That's up to them. And for me, it was a necessary thing because the community is important. The community and the awareness and having a place. I know our group is good. I know our group is as safe as they get, as far as it can be in a public setting, right? Nothing is screened 100%, but I know what isn't allowed in there. And I know because I've been doing it. I've been the one facilitating for 5 years, the majority of the adminning. Okay. Not all of it. We've had some great people helping, but I have taken on a role of the majority of it at my own time and at the cost of my own energy. Okay. And so I made the choice to make the change because it's left in my hands. Okay. And it's not a personal thing and it's not an attack on anything. It's change that's necessary. And with that change came this talk because I saw the reaction to change and I saw the resistance and I saw the hostility that came from making a change for something that's really not the place of the people who are saying it to get angry at, because they're not the ones putting in the effort. I'm not the ones keeping it safe. They're not the ones, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like, whoa, people really don't like change, and that's okay. Okay. But I'm telling you right now that the way out of narcissistic relationships is change. You cannot stay in them and have it be different. You can't. You cannot have a narcissistic person in your life and have it be good without getting out of it, right? You have to make change. And if you can't get out of it, you have to set some boundaries for yourself and create a life in a different trajectory where they are in the periphery of your life, even if they're in the same home, because with them, it will always be toxic. right there is change. Okay. We have to change our mindset. We have to change our perspectives. We have to allow our points of view and recognize this point of view does not facilitate expansive living for me. It keeps me in a box. It keeps me contracted and constricted in the world of the narcissist. And so, boom, we have to jump out. Change. It's what it is. It is the number one tip, and it is the hardest thing you will probably do for yourself. But it's actually super simple. You just do it. You think I wasn't a bundle of nerves this morning as I'm doing this? Oh, heck yeah. You think getting out of a toxic relationship didn't have tears and heart-wrenching, ridiculous fawning over a narcissist? Yes, it did. You think I wasn't doing exactly the same things everyone else is doing when I made that change? Yes, I did. Okay. And then some. and then some. And you think I had all kinds of stuff I did that weren't the best things to do. Of course. I was making change. Change is awkward and it can be clumsy. And every now and then you just pinpoint and laser that change and boom, you do it. And you're just kind of shaken for a second and the change happens and you let the dust settle. You let the snow globe, settle after you've shaken it. And then you see clearly. And then you can make choice. So I've left a narcissistic person. You're reeling, you're trauma bonded, you're reacting, you're saying, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. They were the best thing in my life. Wait a minute. No, they were the worst thing in my life. How could they be the best and the worst at the same time? You're doing all this stuff. You're in cognitive dissonance. You're whatever it is. Or you leave a narcissistic parent and you're like, what did I just do? I cut myself off from my whole family. That's my mother. That's my father. You know what I mean? You're going through it. In that time, change feels terrible. Okay. But as you come out, as the dust settles, as you allow the flow and you allow the grief and you allow the healing to start taking place, you see more clearly and you see, oh, there's a family party. Toxic parent's going to be there. You know what? I choose not to go. But you know what? I also choose to let my other family members, I'll meet them for dinner on Thursday or whatever. You make choices based on that change. And that's what spurs the change into a new direction that can allow for growth. So, yeah, okay. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Appreciating the point of view. Thank you. Personal empowerment to choose to change for ourselves on our own time. Exactly. And that's the thing. We don't have to make change. But unfortunately, like in the case of today, because the change was made around people, they're being forced to experience change. They're being forced to experience change without the opportunity to say, I want change. Thank you. That is the unfortunate part of something where somebody has to make the change, in a situation like that. It isn't a consensus. It is what is best, in my opinion, for the group at large. Okay. Does it have problems? Yes. Is there going to be problems for some people? There will be. And that's the unfortunate part. And I've got a Discord group starting as well, talking about that particular topic with the group. The name change is going to be revealing of what the group is because we need people to be able to find us. I was searching for our group and you couldn't find it anywhere, but I was finding every other group. And it's because it wasn't in the name. And I'm sorry, but it has to be in the name now. We do not have the advertising and the funding and all of that going in any longer. There is no we running it. There's me running it. Okay. So it has to be what works, and it has to be what will work for the group itself as an entity, because it's not me, it's the group itself, right? It has to be what that group needs in order to what I see it's required. And I'm making the choice. Okay. And yes, it's going to affect people. However, I'm trying to create a Discord group that will have a private name or a name like butterflies and squirrels, whatever, right? So that it's completely anonymous looking. It will not be related to the name of this group, but it will be affiliated through this YouTube channel rather, but I will be listed on here so it can be found, so that there's another place that is less obvious if someone were to happen to look at your screen. My suggestion to people is lock down your phones. Okay. Lock down your groups, lock it all down as best you possibly can. Okay. Go somewhere private. If you're going to look at them, don't scroll through with the narcissist right behind you. For real. Okay. Okay. You guys. Hey, Rich, sorry. Thank you for that. Doing some, what else we got here? Okay. So anything else? I just wanted to say this because change is essential. You cannot heal without it. And figuring out what it is for you personally that makes change seem like a scary thing, seem like a wrong thing, you don't trust, not trusting yourself, not trusting others, whatever it is, work on that piece if you that's my suggestion. Work on that piece so that you can open yourself up to change. It's never easy. I don't love it myself, okay? I love what it does, and I love that and I understand that chaos happens. Chaos is part of creativity, okay? It really is. You don't take a blank canvas and unless you're doing color by numbers can have a certain level of creativity, right? So everything's boxed out for you and you paint the color that you're told to paint on the thing. That's what we do when we don't want change, when we don't want to deviate from what this looks like to making the exact duplicate and replication. Our lives are not replications of other people's lives. It requires mixing it up and getting a little chaotic. Okay. That chaos and that shakeup is what I'm talking about. It's a blank canvas and we've got all the colors and the tools and we're allowed to mix new colors and we can slap it on in any direction and we start forming something of our own that is unique. That is what I'm talking about when I say chaos creates is part of creativity. And that's what allows us to blueprint our own lives are for ourselves, right? Well, hopefully with the help of someone that can support you and if you need it. And yeah, that's okay. What are we saying here? Hey, Sunny. Um, Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Change is necessary for growth. 100%, right? Who said that? I can't remember. Yes. Um, yeah. Okay. I know. We need more people in here because change is it's a big one. And um uh, it's not like I'm not going to be one of those, self-help speakers that talks to you from a fake place. I'm not that person. This is me. You get what you see. Okay? And you get it as authentic as I can be in this situation. I mean, who talks to a camera authentically, right? But it's it's you guys. I know I walk this. I walk this. Okay, I walk this talk. It's hard, and I get it. And it's my judgment of it is that it's hard. I can choose to follow that judgment, or I can choose to say, "Huh, that's a judgment," and keep going and do something different and allow the change. When the change happens to you and it's not your fault, like things happen in life, yeah, we have to adapt, we have to allow, we have to flow. It's just the way hanging on doesn't help. Holding on to it creates anxiety. It's why so many of us have anxiety, right? It's not, in my opinion, psychiatric. It is thought process looping that makes us loop into this belief that we have to have things exactly the same or we're not safe. And that's programming and that's conditioning. And yeah, and moving through this is unapologetically authentic. Sometimes I apologize. It's okay. Change has been much like a frightening movie for me. Yeah. And that's the perspective, right? That's the point of view because so many times if we could stop resisting. Okay, there's change that happens that's negative. All right? And in those moments, it's hard to see where anything good can come from it. And that's the problem is we've had so many toxic people. But what I'm saying here is when at all possible, go with what feels right to you. Go with where you can make the changes, allow the changes that are happening and find opportunity in it and find growth in it. Things that happen from the outside that are toxic and negative and bad, that's a whole nother topic. I'm talking about changing. I do too, Tanya, with the fibromyalgia. I just had 3 days of I don't think I can live stream, but it's better now. Okay. And I think part of it is I was resisting something and I let go of it this weekend. And it was weird. It just kind of went away. But yeah. Yeah, I know. And the thought loops, yes, they are fun. Not really, but yeah. They are what we all do. They're part of being human. They're part of the way our brains are like computers, and we store information so that it is not as difficult to recall it, and we don't have to think about it so much. We can just do the things. If we didn't thought loop, we'd have to remember how to cook meals and brush our teeth and get dressed and everything every day. So they can be a useful tool. We just have to learn that we can operate outside of the thought loops when it comes to things like that we want change for things. And when you can't make changes, there's always something you can make change. You can make changes in points of view by recognizing you're in a point of view that has you locked. Simply recognizing it sometimes can be a catalyst for change if you choose. By making choices, whether they're right or wrong, and being unapologetic and not worrying about it quite so much over the little details, right? We can make changes when we can't make big impactful changes in our lives, and there's a lot of negative in our life, because a lot of people here are struggling in that kind of situation where they can't just be like, oh, I'm free and yay and everything's wonderful. No. Okay, I get it. So you can make changes in the way you think about yourself. You can make changes in the patterns of choices that you make for your day, so that you're implementing self-care, so that you're choosing to have a life for yourself, even if 80% of it or more is bombarded by toxic people and toxic things going on. Sometimes that's all it takes to make more room and more room and more room and get those people out. Sometimes we can't get it out, can't get away from it. And so there's other changes that you can make to facilitate a better life for yourself, even a little bit. Okay. And change itself isn't the scary thing. It is our reaction to it, is what I'm getting at. Okay. Worry keeps you stuck. And that is a judgment, right? That's a judgment that you've had placed on you from wherever it came from. Send it back. It's just energetically, thoughtly, whatever, send it back. Worry doesn't matter where it came from. It's a perspective and a point of view that was a judgment placed in you, or a contrivance of someone else's put in your mind, right? Or patterns of things that happen because you're smart. You're like, well, if I do this, then that, and then I do it again, and then that. So clearly, if I do it, then that, right? And that again is a judgment, because every time you do, if you're doing it from a different place and a different point of view and a different, if you're doing it differently, the change will happen. Okay. So, okay. Let's see, what are you guys saying here? Okay. All right. And you burned your lunch. Oh no. Now the change is right. Okay. I'm gonna head out. I have someone I have to talk to in 10 minutes. So I'm gonna head out. If you guys need coaching, if you need group coaching, if you need peer support, check out the info in the link in the main description of every video. Okay, there's links there. And if you need to reach out, my email's there as well. So do that, okay? And take care of yourselves, and think about change, and think about the allowance of change. And if you don't want to, don't. Okay, but I'm telling you, it's the only way out of toxic relationships, because change has to happen. There's no way of doing it and having things stay the same. There just isn't. So sending everybody healing, exactly. Healing energy and light, says Tanya. Everybody. From Tanya, from me, from everybody, for everybody. Yeah. Ciao for now. And I'll see you guys next time. Hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, and we'll see you later in the week with videos too. Take care. Bye-bye.